All right, let's dive into a question that really sits at the crossroads of science and spirituality. Is there a divine message hidden deep inside our DNA? We're going to unpack some of the most fascinating arguments out there, from the sheer complexity of our genetic code to the idea that it might hold a kind of mystical signature.
Let's start with something we've all seen, something we can all relate to. Writer Amusia Samuel Jr. put it beautifully. Every resemblance between parent and child is a sermon in itself. That idea that just looking at your family, seeing those shared traits is like hearing a sermon, that's our starting point. It hints that maybe, just maybe, there's something profound going on just beneath the surface.
So, is that just a nice poetic thought? Or could there really be a message encoded in your DNA? Well, this question has pulled in everyone from top scientists to theologians to philosophers, and it has led to some truly mind-bending ideas that we're going to explore right now.
To even begin to tackle this, we have to go right to the source. We need to get a handle on the scientific mechanism that's actually delivering that sermon of inheritance, the real biological machinery that passes traits from one generation to the next. And that mechanism is, of course, DNA. It's the famous blueprint of life, right? This incredibly complex molecule that's coiled up inside almost every single cell in your body. And what's wild is that this entire blueprint is written in a surprisingly simple four-letter chemical alphabet: A, T, C, and G. That's it. So, with that basic science in mind, let's look at how it builds into one of the most powerful arguments for a divine connection. And this argument doesn't come from ancient texts, but from our own modern world, computer code. The analogy on this slide is really compelling, isn't it? Computer code uses ones and zeros to tell a machine what to do. The genetic code uses those four chemicals to tell a cell what to do. People who support this view, like Dr. Francis Collins, who actually led the Human Genome Project, call DNA software. And the logic is pretty straightforward. Complex, information-rich software needs a programmer, which leads them to the big question: who or what programmed us?
And wow, what a program it is. The human genome is made up of about 3 billion of those chemical letters. 3 billion. That's so much information that if you tried to type it all out 8 hours a day, it would take you around 50 years. The sheer density of information there is just almost impossible to wrap your head around.
And this sense of awe isn't just for us laypeople. It's shared by the very scientists doing the work. Gene Myers, a key computer scientist who helped put together the first human genome map, said this: "What really astounds me is the architecture of life. It's like it was designed." And that little phrase, "like it was designed," that's where the debate just explodes. For some, that points straight to a designer. For others, it's just a testament to the incredible power of natural selection to shape complexity over billions of years. But it's not just the sheer size of this code that's mind-boggling. It's how elegantly it works. The argument actually goes deeper, suggesting that the code itself has all the hallmarks of being optimally designed, especially when it comes to handling mistakes. So what researchers like biochemist Fazali Rana found was pretty startling. What this chart shows is something called error minimization. Basically, when a mistake happens, a mutation, how bad is the damage? Well, compared to millions of other possible genetic codes you could dream up, ours is exceptionally, unusually good at minimizing the damage from those errors. So good, in fact, that it's been described as being maybe 1 in a million in its efficiency. And what's really amazing is that this isn't just one lucky feature. The code seems to be triply optimized. It's great at handling simple mistakes, it's great at resisting really bad mistakes that can create biological gibberish, and on top of all that, it's built to carry multiple overlapping sets of instructions in the very same sequence. I mean, from an engineering point of view, that's like building a machine that's super robust, hyper-efficient, and incredibly data-dense all at once, a combination that human designers almost never achieve.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about the code as a piece of engineering. Now let's look at it from a more symbolic angle. This next perspective sees not just a programmer's intelligence, but maybe an artist's signature. Many people of faith see these powerful parallels between ancient scriptures and modern science. For instance, some look at a phrase from Psalm 139, which describes humans as being curiously wrought or woven together, and they see a beautiful, poetic foreshadowing of DNA's double helix, a structure that's embroidered to create life.
But some interpretations get way more literal than that. This table here outlines a really fascinating claim from a scientist named Yeshayahu Rubinstein. It suggests that if you look at the patterns of the chemical bonds that hold the DNA ladder together, you find this repeating sequence. a pattern of 10, then 5, then 6, then 5. Well, get this. Those numbers correspond directly to the numeric values of the Hebrew letters for God's sacred name, YHWH. And this slide really gets to the heart of it. Of course, skeptics correctly point out, hey, this isn't a literal spelling, you can't actually read the letters in the chemicals. But for believers, it's the profound conceptual link that matters. This idea that the very rhythm of our DNA might echo the name of its creator. So the question becomes, is this a deeply meaningful metaphor, or is it just a truly remarkable coincidence?
Okay, so this brings us to a final, really critical area. Because as our ability to read this code has just exploded, so has our power to write it. And that's pushing humanity into a totally new and very ethically complicated role. Theologian Philip Heffner actually has a powerful term for this new role: created co-creators. The idea is that we are the product of creation, but now we hold the tools to become creators ourselves, with the power to actually alter our own biological blueprint and literally shape the future of our species. And in this new role, there's a huge line in the sand we have to understand. On one side, you have somatic therapy. Think of this as fixing a typo in a single copy of a book. It helps one person. But on the other side is germline therapy. This is like changing the master printing plate. The edits are passed down to every single copy printed from then on, forever. It permanently alters the human story. And this incredible power forces us to confront some really tough ethical questions. First and foremost, who gets to decide what's a defect that should be fixed versus what's just a normal human variation, or worse, a desirable trait to be enhanced? And what about justice? If these technologies are incredibly expensive, could we accidentally create a new biological class system, a world of the genetic haves and have-nots, making the inequalities we already have in society even worse? And all of this leads to the ultimate question, the one that hangs over this entire conversation. As we rewrite the very code of life, where do we draw the line between healing and hubris? Are we just curing diseases, or are we, as the saying goes, playing God? So, after exploring all these different powerful perspectives, where does that actually leave us? Well, we've seen DNA framed in a few totally different ways, haven't we? As the elegant result of evolution, as the complex software of a divine programmer, as a mystical signature left by a creator, and finally, as a powerful new tool that's been placed directly into our hands. Ultimately, I think it all comes down to this. The science, that 3 billion letter sequence of A's, T's, C's, and G's, is the same for everyone. The facts are the facts, but the meaning we find in it, the story we choose to tell about it, well, that's a choice. And as we learn not just to read, but to write that code, the most important question we'll ever face is this: what story will we choose to tell?